Congrats! You're the governor's son. While the 99% are out there fighting for scraps, you spawned into the game with the ultimate cheat codes, power, and old money. Before you could even walk, you were already barking orders. Your first word wasn't mama, it was gimme that, now. You grew up thinking the world was curated just for your comfort. But there is one pebble in your designer loafer, your dad. The governor is annoyingly rigid, a total self-made hero who won over the voters, and your mom with nothing but grit and the grind set. But whatever. Your mom is a total enabler. So every time dad tries to lecture you, mom gets sad. And dad, he's terrified of that. So he turns a blind eye and lets you live like a parasite with an unlimited black card. Fast forward to the big 1-8. Tonight, you're officially a man, at least that's what your ID claims. Your mansion is now ground zero for Wretched excess. You've invited your whole squad of trust fund bros guys who measure human worth by the price of their Patek Philippes and how many buttons are undone on their linen shirts. There's enough booze to sterilize a hospital hypercars blocking the driveway and models charging an hourly rate just to breathe your air. In the corner, your dad is watching, with a face like he just smelled a dumpster fire. He hates this. He despises the flexing. He's only here because mom pulled the puppy dog eyes, and your uncle, his younger brother, and your favorite partner in crime insisted he needs to chill out. Everything's vibing until the surprise hits. Some random new friend, a guy with more dollars than brain cells, decides to drop the ultimate gift. It's not a Lambo. It's not a Rolex. In walks a famous A-list actress, someone you've doom-scrolled past on magazine covers, wearing nothing but lingerie and a giant red bow. A literal human gift. Your lizard brain is screaming yes. But then you lock eyes with your parents. Panic mode. You try to play the good boy. You wave your hands acting all offended while winking at your bro like, "Not now, dude, the rents are watching." You think you're slick. You think you can gaslight the governor. Cute. Dad spent his life sniffing out BS in Congress. Your high school drama club acting isn't fooling anyone. Seeing his son treat a woman like an Amazon package, that's the last straw. The governor snaps. The bass drops to 0. His voice trained to command stadiums booms through the room. He roasts you, calls you a parasite, a disgrace, a degenerate. But the yelling isn't the worst part. The worst part, your boys, the ones chugging your free Dom Perignon, whip out their phones. 50 cameras recording in 4K, while your dad verbally destroys you. For the first time, daddy's money can't buy your dignity. He kicks everyone out, including the gift-wrapped actress. You're left alone in the silence of a ruined rager, with the echo of your cancellation bouncing off the marble walls. Something snaps. Shame morphs into stupid rage. You clap back at the governor. You call him a bitter, washed-up boomer. Your bravery lasts exactly 3 seconds. That's how long it takes for dad's hand to connect with your face. A loud educational slap that performs a hard factory reset on your brain. You choke back tears because alphas don't cry right and run away like a toddler. You retreat to your safe space, the city's most exclusive VIP club. You order the most expensive bottle, the one that tastes like jet fuel, but costs a kidney, just to numb your bruised ego. You drink until the room stops spinning. But then tragedy strikes. The waiter looks at you with pity and drops the 2 scariest words in the English language, card declined. Dad didn't just slap your face. He hits you where it actually hurts your bank account. He froze your assets. Just as you're about to spiral, your savior appears. Uncle. He clears the tab with a chill smile and bails you out. In the car, no lecture. He feeds you exactly what you want to hear. Dad loves you, bro. He's just tough because he sees your potential. Then he plants the seed of chaos. He reminds you that thanks to a new legal loophole, you're now officially old enough to run for Congress. He tells you if you win on your own, Dad has to respect you. Your brain pickled in vodka, and Spite doesn't care about public service or democracy. You only visualize one thing: your dad on his knees begging forgiveness for calling you a loser. Next morning, you wake up with nuclear-grade confidence. It's a tragedy that your IQ doesn't share the same zip code as your ego. With the problem-solving skills of a guy who thinks laundry does itself, you reach a brilliant conclusion. Democracy is just a numbers game. And who has the numbers? The plebs, those NPCs you can just throw cash at to make them obey. You figure victory is just one wire transfer away. Since Dad froze your accounts, you make a heroic sacrifice. You liquidate your limited edition Swiss watches and the sports cars you only bought to match your sneakers. You pile up a mountain of cold, hard cash. Of course, you have a shred of survival instinct, so you don't tweet, "Buying votes, DM me." A buddy introduces you to some external consultants. In reality, they're a criminal syndicate specializing in rigging elections. You hand over the bag. They promise guaranteed results with a smile that would make the devil check his wallet. Election day hits. Just as the organized crime brochure promised you crush it. You pull numbers so absurd they'd make a third world dictator blush. It's a total landslide. In your delusional brain, you're already rehearsing the victory lap in front of Dad. You imagine his stone face melting into pride. You picture him begging for forgiveness, maybe even asking you for political strategy. You're so high on your own supply of bought success that you forgot a basic life lesson. You survive on Nepo baby privilege. Your enemies survive on the hustle. And you just painted a massive target on your back and your dad's. The master plan seemed solid, but the victory high crashes fast. By sunrise, you're not a hero, you're public enemy number one. Every newsfeed, every timeline, every channel is roasting you. They call you a fraud. They call your dad the corrupt puppet master who rigged democracy for his idiot son. Your phone rings. It's him. 2 words ice cold. Come home. You know you didn't just play with fire. You torched the whole house. You walk into the mansion and the vibe is heavy. Mom and Uncle look shook. Dad is sitting there like a statue of pure disappointment. Your survival mode kicks in. You drop to your knees. You spin the usual BS narrative. I did it for the family. I meant well. You know these crocodile tears won't work on Dad, but they're bait for Mom and Uncle. You need them to run defense. You don't feel real guilt. You just feel terror. You brace for the screaming. You brace for the hit. But there's only silence. A deafening silence that lasts forever. Dad looks at you not with rage, but with total defeat. He speaks softly. Tomorrow, if anyone asks. You know nothing. Say I forced you. Say it was my idea. I'll take the heat. In that moment, you feel smaller than an atom. The guilt finally punches you in the gut. For the first time, you wish he would beat you. You wish he'd scream until his lungs gave out. Because watching your dad fall on his sword to save your sorry ass, that hurts way more than any physical blow. Next day, reality hits you like a freight train. The Federal Election Crimes Unit. They don't play. Results come back 100% fraudulent. Before you can finish your morning latte, the feds kick down your door. No time for calls. No time for bribes. They drag you out of your glass palace. It's the ultimate perp walk. Mom collapses screaming, like her soul is being ripped out. But Dad is standing there with terrifying calm. He's not looking at a criminal. He's looking at a soldier being deployed to war. Cut to the interrogation room. Cold. Metallic. You psych yourself up to confess. You're gonna own it. But then the interrogator throws a curveball. Soft voice, fake sympathy. Did your father force you to do this? Did he threaten you? Your brain freezes. Suddenly, Dad's words click. He wasn't planning to save himself. He was planning to take the fall. He knew the system wanted his head, not yours. You want to scream the truth. You want to say, no, I'm the idiot. He's innocent. But your mind and body are divorced. Your body soft from a lifetime of luxury, and zero spine takes over. When you try to deny it, your head nods. When you try to defend him, you tear up. The cops see fear of an abusive dad. But really, it's just your biological cowardice sealing the deal. The interrogator slams the file shut. Boom. They got their fall guy. You spend the night in a cell, eaten alive by guilt. Sunrise, you're released. An inspector gives you a paternal smile. Thanks to your brave testimony and your father's written confession, you walk free. Dad stripped of immunity, impeached, looking at 9 years in federal prison. The cop pats your back. Congrats, son. You're finally free of that monster. The words burn like acid. You want to puke. You want to scream that you are the monster. But you've been a coward for so long, it's basically your default setting. You stay silent. Again. You hop in the squad car for a ride home. You just want to see mom fall to your knees and spill everything. The car winds through the mountain roads. Suddenly, at a hairpin turn, the car speeds up. The driver stomps the brakes. Once, twice, nothing. The pedal hits the floor. This isn't a mechanical failure. It's a hit job. The car smashes through the guardrail. As you plummet into the void, you don't feel fear. You feel a strange, dark sense of poetic justice. Eyes open. No crystal chandelier above you, just cracks mold and the smell of poverty. You're not in heaven, and you're definitely not in your mansion. A guy with leather skin walks up. He tells you you're lucky. The dense trees caught the car like a catcher's mitt. You survived. The cop. Not so much. A tree branch turned him into an instant human shish kebab. You've been out cold for 2 days. Panic mode. You ask where you are? Answer the middle of nowhere, USA. Seeing you freak out, the guy offers a ride in his beat-up truck. Your rich kid reflex kicks in immediately. You tell him you have no cash, but promise a life-changing reward later. The guy smiles a look so kind it feels alien and says, I don't need your money, son. Hop in. For the first time ever, someone offers a service with zero ROI. You feel weird. Like you just discovered a mythical species called altruism. Back at the mansion, you order a servant to give the guy an obscene tip. You walk in. The vibe is off. It doesn't smell like lavender and power anymore. It smells like dust and bad vibes. You walk into the main office, and there he is. Uncle. Sitting in Dad's leather throne. He looks at you like he's seen a ghost. Then he stands up for an Oscar-worthy hug. He tells you they thought you were roadkill like the cop. Then he drops the nuke. Dad got the full 9 years. But wait, there's more. Misery loves company. Mom, the woman who lived in a Pinterest-perfect bubble, couldn't handle the double whammy of a felon husband and a dead son. She snapped. She's in a high-end psych ward, sedated out of her mind. Your knees buckle. You beg Uncle, your only lifeline, to take you to her. The ride to the psych ward is quieter than a funeral. You walk through sterile white hallways, smelling of cheap lavender and suppressed mental breakdowns. Uncle walks beside you, projecting that steady, father figure energy you're desperate for, now that your world has imploded. He's your rock, the only fam you have left. Room 304. You open the door hands, shaking like a leaf. Reality hits harder than a horror movie. There she is. The former queen bee of high society, always Instagram ready, is now a shell. Her expensive hair is a gray bird's nest. She's aged 20 years in a few months. She's rocking back and forth, staring into the void, cradling something with infinite love. You get closer. It's not a grandchild. It's a creepy, cheap plastic doll. You choke up. You whisper, "Mom!" She freezes, slowly looks up. Bloodshot eyes, full of madness, lock onto you. Jump scare. Her face twists into pure terror. She tosses the doll and screams like a banshee. "You're the devil. You ruined everything. It should have been you." Every word is a bullet to the chest. She's right. You're the toxicity. You're the monster who nuked this family. You stand there frozen, taking the verbal abuse like you deserve it. Uncle steps in like a bodyguard. He drags you out while nurses rush in with sedatives. In the hallway, you have a total meltdown, sobbing like a toddler. Uncle holds you tight. "Chill, son. It's not her. It's the illness talking. I'll fly in the best doctors on the planet. I swear." You look at him like he's God. He squeezes your shoulder. "I'm the only one you got left now, and it's my job to take care of you." You nod, thanking the universe for not leaving you solo in this hellhole. Back at the mansion, the office feels like a mausoleum. Uncle sits you down demanding Zen mode before opening a black leather dossier. What he shows you makes your blood boil. Your tragedy wasn't an accident. It was a 4D chess move by Dad's political arch-nemesis. Uncle pulled some strings and got the receipts. He shows you high-res spy shots of you buying votes angles only a pro sniper could get. He shows you the anonymous tip time-stamped days before you even won. It all clicks in a macabre way. That's why the investigation was faster than Amazon Prime delivery. That's why they forced a confession. And the chiller, the car crash. Uncle drops the base. It wasn't bad luck. It was a cleanup operation. A failed hit to tie up loose ends. You see red. You jump up screaming, you're gonna unalive that politician with your bare hands. But Uncle shuts you down with one brutal line. Sit down. You're a nobody. He reality checks you. You're a convicted felon. A social pariah with zero clout. You try to touch this guy now. You get squashed like a bug. You crash to your knees, pounding the floor in helpless rage. Seeing you broken, Uncle hesitates fake hesitation, obviously, and murmurs. There is a way to get payback. Actually, never mind. Bad idea. That half sentence is your oxygen. You grab his arm. You beg him. Tell me, I'll do anything. He sighs and drops the red pill. Hard truth. Your political career is dead. Your last name is Mud. But real power doesn't need ballots. He drops the quote of the century, if you can't be the president, own the president. The pitch. He knows a startup gang, small but high potential. Pure mercenaries. If you and he invest the rest of your inheritance as seed funding in 3 years, this gang runs the city. You'll have a private army to destroy your enemies. With eyes full of tears and hate, you nod. You thank Uncle for giving you a new reason to grind. Armed with your inheritance and Uncle's guidance, you descend into the underworld. You expect a scene from Narcos, a smoke-filled dungeon scar-faced goons cleaning AK-47s looking at you like fresh meat. You expect the devil himself. But reality slaps you with confusion. You walk into an office that looks more like a WeWork than a criminal base. The boss isn't a brute. He's a soft-spoken guy offering you artisanal herbal tea, speaking with the politeness of a diplomat. Uncle handles the intros and breaks down the company's mission statement. According to him, these aren't drug dealers. They are socially conscious entrepreneurs. The modern Robin Hoods of meth. They swear on their mothers they have a strict ethical code. No kids, no working class families. They claim to only supply rich degenerates with too much cash and terminal addicts who need it to survive. They even show you glossy brochures of their supposed orphanages. It's a narrative so absurd, only a desperate idiot would buy it. And you are very desperate. You spill your sob story, the injustice, the dad, the fall. The boss wipes a single theatrical tear. He slams the table outraged on your behalf. He says if they had the budget, they'd take out that politician pro bono just for poetic justice. But sad face, they are just a humble, underfunded startup. You're touched. For the first time in months, you feel seen. You have a twisted epiphany. Some killers work for the law, but these outlaws break the law to do good. With a heart full of blind, stupid faith, you shake hands. You officially become their angel investor. 3 years pass. You poured your inheritance into the Series A round, and boy did they deliver. Your investment went to the moon. These guys weren't lying. With your capital, they scaled up into the most lethal cartel in the country. We're talking Silicon Valley unicorn status growth. They are men of their word. Finally, the boss fight. They drag in the politician, the architect of your ruin. They throw him at your feet. You've been waiting for this moment like Christmas morning. You expect begging. You expect terror. But reality slaps you again. He looks at you with the confusion of someone looking at a DoorDash driver at the wrong house. He doesn't even know who you are. That stings more than any insult. Shaking with rage, you scream about the ex-governor rotting in jail because of him. The guy shrugs with suicidal arrogance. If your dad cheated, he had to pay up. It's just politics, kid. Don't hate the player, hate the game. It's not an apology. It's a flex. Something inside your brain snaps. You snatch a baseball bat from a henchman. The first hit is dry and brutal. He drops. You scream louder. Remember me now. You said my dad deserved it. You know my mom looks at me like a monster. With every question you unload 3 years of bile, shame and hate. You swing until the screaming turns into moaning, and the moaning turns into a wet red silence. You stop, panting. You just punched someone's ticket. Your first kill. You're shaking like a leaf. But Uncle and the boss step in. They put a hand on your shoulder like proud dads at a graduation. It's okay. Trash took itself out. Justice is served. You search for that satisfaction, that dopamine hit. But there's nothing. Just a cold, massive void. You don't feel better. But your brain, an expert in copium, gives you one last hope. Whatever. Just 6 more years. Dad gets out and then we'll all be a big happy family again. While you're mentally counting down the days to the family reunion, you feel the cold kiss of steel on the back of your neck. You turn around expecting the cartel boss. Instead, you lock eyes with Uncle. Your rock. Your savior. You freeze. He looks at you with a mix of boredom and disgust. You should have died in that ravine 3 years ago. If you had a single brain cell, you would have thanked God and hidden in a hole. You're confused. Your brain glitches. So he decides to show mercy and deliver the punchline. He confesses. Since childhood, he lived in the shadow of your dad. Dad stole everything: the parents' attention, the political power, and most importantly, Mom. Uncle always wanted her. He smiles a look that turns your stomach, describing the orgasmic pleasure of stripping his perfect brother of everything. His career, his freedom, his wife, and his son. Then he twists the knife. Remember the hospital when Mom was screaming about the devil? She wasn't looking at you. She was looking at me. I was standing right behind you. She knew who the real monster was, but you were too busy suffering from main character syndrome to notice. He tells you this so you can die with clarity. It's his thank you gift, because thanks to your stupidity and cowardice, his revenge was a total cakewalk. The last thing you hear is the gunshot. 6 years later. The state prison gates open. Uncle is there, leaning on a luxury whip, giddy with anticipation. He wants to see his big brother's destroyed face. He wants to taste the final victory. Minutes pass, no show. Uncle's smile fades. Panic sets in. He sends his goons to check. They come back with the unthinkable news: Dad is gone. He ghosted the system hours before his official release. Rage consumes Uncle. He screams at his hitmen with the desperation of a man who knows the tutorial is over and the real war has just begun. Find him, bring him to me, now dead or alive. I want to see a body. After escaping your brother's goons and the feds through a maze of dirty alleys, you infiltrate the basement of a house. You knock on the door with a specific rhythm. The steel door opens slowly, revealing darkness and the cold barrel of a 9mm pistol pointing straight at your forehead. You raise your hands in surrender with total calm. The guard shoves you inside, taking you to a dim room that reeks of weed and dampness. On an old leather sofa, a man covered in tattoos awaits you. Of course you know each other. He is the former drug kingpin, the man whose empire you destroyed when you were governor. He stands up, walks over, and examines you as if you were a strange animal. He did not expect you to turn yourself in alone. With a sinister smile, he tells you that you almost made him rot in a cell for the rest of his life. His voice is deep and threatening when he promises that he will make you beg for death. But you do not blink. You ask him a direct question. You ask him if he wants to reclaim his throne and be the leader of the country's biggest gang once more. If the answer is yes, you tell him his only option is to collaborate with you. The drug lord lets out a dry laugh that rumbles off the concrete walls. He asks you with contempt what a pathetic fugitive like you can offer him. He reminds you that you are no longer governor, your accounts are frozen, and you have no army. He says you are worth more dead or sold to your traitor brother as a tribute to start new business. The threat is real, but you keep your gaze fixed on his black eyes. You tell him bluntly that it is true you have no money or political power. But you have something more valuable. You have the intellect and the strategy that took him down the untouchable one from his golden throne to this damp basement. A tense silence fills the room for a minute that seems eternal. He watches you looking for fear, but only finds determination. Suddenly, his fist smashes into your jaw, knocking you to the ground and making you spit blood. You wipe your mouth slowly. He extends his hand and tells you with a cruel smile that it is a pleasure doing business. You stand up without anger and without fear and shake his hand. The deal with the devil is struck, but he makes one last thing clear. If you screw up even once, he will not kill you quickly. He will cut you into pieces so small that they will only serve to feed the fish. You are in the war room, under a dim light that barely illuminates the cigar smoke. You point out the first two fatal weaknesses of your brother's empire. The first is the infighting. His own leaders are killing each other for the crumbs of power. The second is his logistical Achilles heel. They depend totally on the chemical precursors that come from China. From these cracks, you map out a detailed roadmap of hundreds of pages to exploit them without mercy. Upon reading your plan, the kingpin finally understands why he lost against you in the past. The tattooed man looks at you with a new curiosity. He leaves his gun on the table and asks you how the hell you knew the location of his hideout and the door code. You only answer that a good friend from prison revealed it to you before dying. He knows you are hiding something, but his greed is stronger than his curiosity. So he decides not to ask more questions. 5 months pass. Your strategy works like a slow but lethal poison. Your brother's organization begins to collapse. He loses his roots, he loses his money, and worst of all, he loses the fear he used to instill in his enemies. Realizing that an invisible force is devouring him, your brother's gang tries to negotiate. He sends peace emissaries proposing to divide the territory. They fail. Then he tries to bribe your men and infiltrate spies. But you, anticipating every move, execute your counterintelligence plan and teach them a lesson they will not forget. When diplomacy and espionage fail, violence erupts. Corpses start appearing in the streets or stuffed in car trunks. The silent war has turned into an open and brutal conflict. Wearing a simple disguise, you walk into a small coffee shop in a forgotten corner of the city. You stealthily head to the back booth, where a man is already waiting for you with a black coffee. You sit down and apologize in a low voice for the delay. You explain that you had to circle the block several times to lose the lookouts of the tattooed kingpin who are tracking you. The man across from you smiles and says that given you are the most wanted criminal in the country, it is understandable that you have scheduling conflicts. You know perfectly well that that joke is not for your amusement. It is a veiled threat. He is telling you that if you do not put something valuable on the table in the next 5 minutes, you will leave here in handcuffs or in a body bag. And you know he has the power to do it because the man drinking coffee with you is the General of the National Guard. Wasting no time, you lay out your master plan. You explain that the tension between your brother's organization and the tattooed man's has reached a point of no return. All-out war is imminent. You tell him that when the two biggest cartels in the country start killing each other, they will both weaken one another, depleting their men and resources. That will be the exact moment for the general to swoop in. He will be able to wipe both organizations off the map in one fell swoop. You convince him that this military victory will be his direct stepping stone to the presidency in the next election. The general listens in silence, analyzing every word. His smile widens. He likes what he hears. He does not care about the blood, only the votes. He leans forward and gives you a clear order. He wants you to stir the pot as much as possible. He needs the chaos to be so great that even his own subordinates, many of whom are on the cartel's payroll, have no choice but to act and do their duty under public pressure. He asks you to set the city on fire so he can put out the flames and take the credit. You nod promise to do your part and walk away. Life keeps happening while you are busy making plans, and what happens often ends up ruining them. Your brother's organization could not withstand the attack. It collapsed much faster than you had calculated even in your worst nightmares. In just 2 months, the tattooed man's gang has completely devoured the competition. Now they control absolutely the entire underworld. This is a total disaster for you. You know perfectly well that in this criminal world, when the hunt is over, the hunter puts down the attack dog. You have to get the hell out of here immediately. Walking out the front door is suicide, so you opt for the window. From the windowsill, you jump to the adjacent roof with your heart hammering in your chest. The impact on your ankles is brutal, but the adrenaline blocks the pain. You think you have made it, but the beam of a flashlight illuminates you like a lead actor on a stage. You have been spotted. You run across the tin and concrete roofs like a desperate animal. You hear the shouts of the hitmen and the unmistakable sound of guns cocking behind your back. You jump over a 10-foot wide alley. You land rolling, scrape your hands, get up, and keep running without looking back. Bullets start impacting the stone walls around you. It is a hail of lead. You desperately look for a way down a fire escape, but they have already flanked you. Upon reaching the edge of the last building, you see that 3 SUVs and a dozen armed men are waiting for you below. You look back and the path is blocked by your pursuers. You are totally surrounded. This time there is no magical way out. They have caught you. The hitmen drag you to an abandoned house in the middle of nowhere and tie you to a chair. You immediately recognize the silhouette emerging from the shadows. It is him, your own blood brother. Seeing your pitiful state, his face lights up with a sick and twisted smile. It is the first time in decades that he looks down on you, savoring the sweet nectar of a victory that was always denied to him while he lived in your giant shadow. He is euphoric, almost trembling with pleasure. He starts walking around you and explains his master plan with the tone of a passionate professor who has just solved an impossible equation. He tells you that from the exact moment the tattooed man's gang started growing from scratch, he knew it was your doing. No one else in the world has that strategic capability. Only you could turn a gang on the brink of collapse into an empire in 5 months. So to counter your move, he decided to stay 1 step ahead. He contacted the tattooed man and made him an irresistible offer. He himself would act as a Trojan horse, handing over his organization from the inside so the tattooed man would win without firing a single bullet. In exchange for betraying all his subordinates and giving up power, he only asked for one thing: your head. For him, losing his empire was a small price to pay if it meant seeing you destroyed. It was a perfect play. It minimized damage and ensured his personal revenge. The tattooed man, of course, accepted with delight. After confessing his betrayal, your brother leans into your face, desperately looking for a grimace of pain, surprise, or defeat. He wants to see you broken, knowing that he has outsmarted you. But you maintain that coldness he hates so much. Furious at your indifference, he gathers all his strength and gives you a slap across the face that echoes off the empty walls. The blow stuns you, your ears are ringing, but it is not enough to soothe his wounded ego. He needs more. So he starts using words like knives. He begins to tell you with a sadistic calm how he manipulated your son's stupidity. He narrates how he tricked him into signing the papers that sent you to prison. While he speaks, he does not take his eyes off you. Noticing a spark of anger in your eyes, he gets excited. He continues describing the exact moment he killed your son with his own hands. He tells you with pleasure that the boy died with a look of disbelief, not understanding why his own uncle was betraying him. And to finish destroying you, he talks about your wife. With an obscene smile, he details how he psychologically tortured her, day after day, until her mind broke. He tells you how she begged him on her knees to leave her alone, how she cried for you. In this moment, your eyes become bloodshot. You look at him with a hatred so pure that you could burn him alive just with your gaze. You want to rip his throat out. He sees your uncontrolled fury. He sees the monster awakening, and finally he lets out a laugh of satisfaction. He has finally broken you. Your brother, the Golden Boy, wants to give you a final parting gift. He orders his subordinates to bring your present. A woman emerges from the shadows. It is her, the only light left in your miserable life. Immediately, your mask of coldness shatters into 1,000 pieces. You lose your cool completely. You scream, you curse, you fight against the ropes until your wrists bleed. You demand your brother have the guts to torture you to cut off your fingers if he wants, but not to touch her. But what happens next destroys you more than any knife or bullet. Your wife does not run to you. She throws herself into your brother's arms and hugs him tenderly. He strokes her hair and kisses her on the forehead right in front of your eyes. Your brother took advantage of your wife's fragile mental state to brainwash her completely. He has rewritten her memories. Now, in her broken mind, he is her husband and her protector. He looks at you over her shoulder and smiles with sadistic pleasure. It is the first time in his life he sees you like this, crying, sniffling, begging, totally pathetic. Your wife, confused by your screams, looks up and asks your brother innocently who that man is, who looks so sad and dirty. He answers softly, "Not to worry that you are just a despicable criminal, a piece of trash that is paying for his mistakes." Having said that, he signals his men. They start pouring gasoline from gas cans all over the house. The smell of fuel floods your lungs. Your brother tells you that after all, today is the happiest day of his life, and he feels generous. He takes an old, dull knife out of his pocket. He throws it on the ground, just within reach of your tied feet. He leans into your ear and whispers that he is leaving you a way out. He wants you to have the hope of escaping, so that when the fire consumes you, while you try to cut the rope with that useless blade, your despair is absolute. He wants you to die, fighting in vain. Your brother walks out with your wife and throws the lighter on the ground. All hell breaks loose. The heat is unbearable and the smoke chokes you. But he made a fatal mistake. He underestimated your will to live. You throw yourself to the ground and reach for the knife. You use the blade and the very heat of the fire to weaken the rope. Your clothes start to catch fire. Your skin starts to burn. The pain is something you never imagined, but you do not stop. You saw at the rope with maniacal strength, until with a last tug it snaps. You are free, but you are burning. You throw yourself through a broken window and fall into the nearby river just a few seconds before the roof collapses. You fall into the darkness, burned, disfigured, and half dead. You wake up in a strange room with a strong smell of antiseptic. You escaped death, but the price was devastating. Half of your body is covered in burn scars, and you have lost the sight in one eye forever. With your only healthy eye, you focus on the digital clock on the wall. 3 months have passed since that night of terror. You try to sit up, ignoring the stabbing pain, when a man in dark sunglasses bursts into the room. He shouts with glee, calling someone else. He says the walking dead has finally awakened. A young man in a grey hoodie enters behind him. They introduce themselves simply as the counselor and Cat. They explain that Cat's surveillance systems detected you floating near their base of operations, and they decided to fish you out before you drowned. You hurriedly thank them for their help and promise that if you survive your next trip, you will pay them back every cent they spent on you. You try to get up to leave, but the counselor blocks your path with a cold phrase. He asks you sarcastically if you plan to get revenge on your brother in such a pitiful state. A sense of urgency triggers in you. You ask him with a tense voice how he knows your story. The counselor smiles and says calmly that they know much more than you imagine. Without beating around the bush, he reveals his intentions. He wants to recruit you. He explains that his team is made up of people who, just like you, were ruined by the cartels. You ask them if their goal is a moral crusade to end drug trafficking. The counselor shakes his head and says that that is thinking small. They are targeting the shadow organization that controls the drug lords, a much bigger enemy. You look at the counselor and the kid and turn down the offer. His goals are too noble and complex for a broken man like you. You tell them that you only want to kill your brother and rescue your wife, nothing more. You turn around to leave, dragging your injured leg. The counselor sighs, complaining about his bad habit of helping lost causes. He stops you by the arm and says they will help you anyway. He explains that this time, your personal revenge and their global mission have the same objective. Faced with such insistence and without resources, you have no choice but to accept. In the living room, Kat summarizes the hell of the last 3 months. Your brother has achieved the perfect symbiosis. By day, he is a respectable governor. By night, he is a ruthless kingpin. He uses hitmen to eliminate his rivals in Congress and uses state laws to protect drug routes. You look at the counselor and ask what two strangers can offer you. He adjusts his glasses and replies that he is a former high-level hitman and the kid is a prodigy hacker. They are your weapons. You decide how to fire them. You smile for the first time, showing your scar. Your plan is simple but lethal. Divide and conquer. You know your brother's sick ambition. He will never accept being second in command forever. You are sure that he is secretly collecting evidence against the tattooed man to betray him in the future, either to use him as a stepping stone to the presidency or to keep the whole business for himself. The counselor asks if they should steal that evidence. You shake your head. There is no need to steal it. You just have to prove that it exists. The drug lord's paranoia will do the rest of the dirty work. Cat starts working under your orders. After 1 week of digital tracking, he finds what you were looking for. Cat sends an anonymous and encrypted message directly to the tattooed man's personal phone. The message is clear: your partner is recording you to sell you out. The seed of betrayal has been sown. Just as you predicted, the tattooed man read your anonymous letter, but he did not act on impulse. He sent his own spies and confirmed his fear your brother was sharpening his knives to betray him. However, the kingpin finds himself in a dilemma. He cannot simply execute the state governor, since that would attract too much attention, and his power is vital for the business. But the tattooed man is a seasoned veteran. He pulls an ace up his sleeve: the video from the hidden camera in the abandoned house, where your brother confessed everything and burned you alive. With this evidence, he forces your brother to personally supervise a production laboratory on the outskirts of the city to ensure that they both go down together if the ship sinks. Cat monitors the movements of both sides through public cameras and confirms that the seed of discord has blossomed. Your brother heads toward the rural area. Cat warns that he will lose visual contact as soon as they leave the city limits, since there are no cameras out there. It is the counselor's turn. He opens a briefcase and reveals a military-grade magnetic tracker. You recognize it immediately and ask how the hell they got it. The counselor replies with sarcasm that they bought it from a corrupt general who was selling army inventory to the highest bidder. The counselor gets on his motorcycle and orders Cat to freeze traffic. Cat hacks the traffic lights, turning them all red and creating instant gridlock. The counselor accelerates, weaving between the stopped cars until catching up to your brother's convoy trapped in the traffic jam. Taking advantage of the confusion, he slides up to the last escort SUV and with a quick and precise movement sticks the device on the rear bumper. He disappears before anyone notices. The mission is a total success. You realize that you are not working with common criminals, but with a lethal and dangerous elite. Now is the moment of decision, but you hesitate. Your hand trembles slightly. Fear paralyzes you as you think of your wife. If you attack now and your brother feels cornered, he could use her as a human shield or kill her out of spite. The counselor, noticing your hesitation, puts his hand on your shoulder. He tells you to calm down. He assures you that he has already taken care of everything. He has sent 2 trusted friends to get your wife out of the safe house. He even allows himself to brag a little. He tells you with a half smile that if his friend still had his old team, all this would be unnecessary, because your brother would have already woken up dead in his bed without a trace. You are not sure if you fully believe this mysterious man, but you have seen the professionalism of the organization. You decide to go all in. The counselor drives to the tracker's coordinates. It is an abandoned factory in the middle of nowhere, the perfect place for an industrial drug lab. The counselor takes a gun out of the glove box and offers it to you. He asks if you know how to use it. You answer that you know a little the basics. He laughs and says, "That is enough, just aim for center mass and shoot." He explains the plan. He will create massive chaos, a fake frontal attack, and a fire so that most of the guards go out to defend the perimeter, leaving you a clear path. You tell him it is crazy that they are going to kill him. He looks at you through his dark glasses and says that the one who should worry is you, because even though he draws away most of the guards, your brother will still be protected by his personal security detail. Before speeding off, he drops a line that you do not know if it is a joke or the truth. He tells you not to fear for his life because he already died once in the past. He leaves you in the shadows and starts the car. 1 minute later, a deafening explosion lights up the night. The show has begun. You slip through the bushes and dry grass using every shadow as a shield. The counselor's distraction has worked, and most of the guards are gone, but the main entrance is still watched by a group of bodyguards. You know you are not a special forces commando. If you try to face them head-on with your bad aim, you will die on the pavement before reaching the door. Your gaze stops on some metal barrels stacked in an open side warehouse. A characteristic smell hits your nose. A crazy idea crosses your mind. You move to a blind spot out of reach of the cameras. You tip over several barrels, letting the flammable liquid run across the warehouse floor, seeking the containers of chemical precursors. You take out a lighter. The gasoline catches with a furious roar. The fire runs like a living snake and reaches the chemicals. The reaction is immediate and devastating. A column of fire of unnatural colors explodes, shattering the glass and activating all the alarms. The panic is total. The workers run like ants in the rain, coughing and screaming. You take advantage of that chaos to infiltrate. While the elite guards try to restore order and put out the fire, you walk behind them and with terrifying coldness shoot them at point-blank range. Since there is too much noise drowning out the shots, they fall one by one without knowing what happened. You go up the stairs to the second floor with your heart hammering in your chest. At the end of the hallway, you see him, your brother. You look at each other for a fraction of a second, and the hatred in the air is hotter than the fire below. Both draw at the same time. The hallway turns into a shooting gallery. Bullets fly, destroying the plaster on the walls, breaking lamps and windows. You take cover behind a concrete column, while your brother's shots tear off pieces of wall inches from your face. You fire back, forcing him to hide behind a heavy desk. The noise is deafening. You shoot, you take cover, you advance. You shoot, you take cover, you advance. Suddenly the firing pin of your gun makes a dry sound. Click. Damn it. You are empty. From the other side, you hear the same hollow sound coming from your brother's gun. A tense silence takes over the place, only broken by the shots ringing out on the ground floor. Your brother shouts from his hiding place. He proposes a truce. He says both are out of bullets, so he suggests ending this like men bare knuckle, like when you played in the backyard as kids. You shout back that you agree. So be it. You count to 3 to come out. 1, 2, 3. Both jump into the open hallway, but neither raises their fists. In an almost synchronized movement, you pull out a compact pistol, and he pulls out a revolver. The irony of the situation is so great that your brother exclaims in surprise. He tells you that you have changed, that you are no longer the saintly and self-righteous big brother. You look him straight in the eyes, smile with your scarred half face, and answer that you only learned from the best. The fire advances quickly, devouring the walls like a hungry beast. After several failed attempts to convince you to lower your weapon, your brother takes the first step. He throws his pistol to the ground and raises his hands. With a sly smile, he says, he knows. You knows that deep down, you are still a man of principle, and that you do not want a hollow victory shooting an unarmed man. He knows exactly what buttons to push. You throw your weapon aside and accept the challenge. You tell him you will give him the beating he deserves since you were kids. You lunge at each other with primal fury. It is a dirty fight, no rules, just hard blows and screams. At first, your experience gives you the advantage. You hit him with the rage of a man who has lost everything. But then your brother plays dirty. He digs his thumbs hard into the fresh burns on your body. The pain blinds you, robs you of your breath and concentration. He takes advantage of your moment of weakness to knock you down. While he punches your face again and again, he spits out all the hate he has bottled up for years. He screams at you that he always hated your perfection, that he was sick of living under your giant shadow, sick of always playing second fiddle at your parents' table. Suddenly, an explosion on the ground floor shakes the building to its foundations. Your brother loses his balance for a second. It is your chance. With a roar of effort, you kick him in the chest, launching him backward straight against the rusty railing. The metal breaks and he falls into the void, but manages to cling to the edge with his fingertips. He is left hanging over a sea of fire and chemicals. You approach the edge and look down at him. He looks back at you, but there is no longer arrogance, only pure terror. He calls you Big Brother again. He starts spouting pathetic excuses. He says he was manipulated by his partners, that he was possessed by demons, that he was not himself. Seeing that your expression remains icy, he tries to appeal to your old morality. He tells you that you are a good man, that good men do not let their own flesh and blood die. But you do not move. Seeing that his manipulation is not working, his mask slips. He starts insulting you, cursing you. He swears that if he gets out of there, he will kill you slowly and make your wife beg for her life. But your only answer is a deadly silence. His fingers start to slip due to the sweat and heat. The pain in his arms is unbearable. He changes tactics again, now crying like a child. He begs you for a second chance, reminds you of when you played in the park, asks you to forgive him, like you always did before. But you only watch his last moments of misery. Finally, his hands give way. Your brother falls screaming onto the burning chemical barrels. The fire engulfs his body instantly. He becomes a human torch, running blindly toward the exit, howling in pain. Just when he is about to reach the door, the roof collapses on him, crushing the monster under tons of burning rubble. The villain has paid for his sins. But now you have a problem. The collapse has blocked the only exit. Smoke fills your lungs, and the heat is unbearable. You are too tired to look for another route. You lean against the wall, accept your fate, and close your eyes, praying that your wife has a happy life without you. Suddenly, a brutal crash shakes the ground floor wall. A car has just smashed through the brick wall, creating a new entrance amidst the dust and rubble. It is the counselor. He honks the horn and screams at you to get the hell in, because you still have not paid your debt to them.